Hello, my name is Joey MASSA, and I am running for Seattle City Council as an independent progressive. Throughout my campaign, I'm often asked what progressive means to me. American progressivism is rooted in the belief that government should function as a living body, adapting to the needs of its people. And I know that my neighbors join me in my commitment to addressing our city's most critical issues, which are summed up in my platform focused on public health and safety, transportation, and crafting a truly progressive plan for our city. My work in public safety will begin by establishing a baseline of shelter and facilities for our unhoused neighbors. In addition to providing access to basic human necessities such as restrooms and security, we will finally gauge the true scope of our homelessness crisis. Improving our city's transportation will start by working with regional partners to expand our vital network of varied and functional transit systems. I want to grow transit options that work and are demonstrably cost-effective, such as adding Ballard and Lake Washington routes to our water taxi system. Finally, American progressivism is what ties my platform together, and to that end, I will work to protect your rights to privacy regarding facial recognition and other mass data gathering, ensure our residents' rights to fair wages and benefits, and while establishing a forward-looking plan to shore up our city's infrastructure, my commitment to reducing Seattle's environmental impact will be paramount in every decision made. We have no room to regress. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm Joey MASSA, running for City Council in Seattle's 6th District.
Hello, my name is Sergio GARCIA. I'm a police officer in Seattle, and I live in Finney Ridge in a rental home with my wife Maria and Boston Terrier Batman. I'm a first-generation American, son of a carpenter and a housemaid, who both migrated to this country seeking a better life for their family. After watching my parents struggle, holding on to multiple jobs, and knowing there were millions of others like them, I knew I wanted to help and give back to my community. At the age of 21, I became a police officer in South Florida, and after over a decade of dedicated public service and endless miles of traveling the world, I had stumbled upon a huge problem. I visited and fell in love with a city by the name of Seattle. I knew right away that I'd move here and would raise a family in this enchanting utopia who welcomes all, regardless of their gender, race, religious beliefs, physical limitations, nationality, sexual orientation, or identification. So I did. I moved here and began working in the neighborhoods of Ballard and Fremont. I immediately made it my mission to get out and walk the footbeat in order to get to know everyone in the neighborhood. I was able to build relationships and gain the trust from all those living, working, and enjoying life in our district, to those less fortunate sleeping on our streets, dealing with issues such as mental illness, displacement, and drug addiction. It didn't take long for me to become frustrated with the lack of affordability, traffic congestion, our fragile state of public safety, the homelessness crisis, and seeing all the suffering due to the various injustices this growing city is experiencing. I knew I wanted to do more. I knew that with my boots on the ground experience and perspective, I'd be able to provide a more practical, accountable, and humane approach to addressing said issues. You all trust me during your most vulnerable moments in the intimacy of your homes with my ability to find reasonable and practical solutions to your problems. I'm optimistic that come election day, you will also trust in me to do the same for Seattle, and doing so while giving a voice back to the people in our district. Remember, everyday problems get solved by everyday people.
I'm Heidi Wills. I'm running for District 6 residents and small businesses who want safe neighborhoods, for seniors who built Seattle and are being priced out of their homes, and for children who deserve clean parks and open community centers. My family's lived in the district for 16 years. As a small business owner and a nonprofit director, I have the right experience to take on our biggest challenges. I have a proven track record of results. I was on the City Council 20 years ago when I expanded energy rate assistance so more low-income people could qualify. I led investments in renewable energy. I worked to expand transit and provide more affordable housing and human services. Our city needs to be smarter about addressing the root causes of homelessness. Seattle can't solve this crisis in a silo. We need a collaborative regional approach to provide services, especially mental health and treatment on demand. We need short-term housing solutions like modular homes and long-term solutions like permanent supportive housing. We need to focus on basic services, the humble acts of local government that directly impact our quality of life. Public safety is a priority. Our police department is small compared with cities our size. We need to address vacancies stretching the department too thin, a lack of diversion programs, and prosecution of repeat offenders. We need more transit service and safe pedestrian bicycle infrastructure. Seattle must take bold action on climate protection to reduce our carbon footprint. We need more affordable housing of all shapes and sizes for people of all incomes, so teachers, nurses, and firefighters who contribute so much to our city can afford to live close to where they work. My name is Heidi Wills, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Terry Rice, and I'm running for Seattle City Council in District 6. I'm running as the true progressive in this race. We need to take bold steps and think long-term in order to solve our city's toughest problems. I'm talking about doing the hard work of tackling the root causes of our most intractable problems. Problems like reducing the number of people experiencing homelessness, creating more low and mid-income housing, strengthening and investing in mass transit, and addressing climate change in a meaningful way at the local level. It is not possible to solve the homelessness crisis without addressing housing affordability, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot we can do to bring people inside right now. First, we can invest in more programs that we know already work, like upstream diversion. This means that if a family or an individual is about to become homeless because of a broken car or a sick child, we step in and give them a rent or transportation voucher. This $600 or $900 is often enough to keep a family in a home that they have, which is the right thing to do, and it's the fiscally responsible thing to do. The city needs to build more low-income housing. This is a long-term plan, and without doing the hard political work of building more low-income housing, we will not exit the homelessness crisis. Some of this publicly financed low-income housing needs to be built specifically for people who have severe and chronic mental illness and/or severe and chronic drug addiction. If we want people who are facing these hardships off of the street, then we must give them a place to go. Arresting them won't work. This is also the morally right thing to do and the fiscally responsible choice. We need to expedite and expand light rail, connect our bike lanes, make Metro the easy choice for people. Gridlock will be reduced by improving access to and investing in mass transit. The biggest threat facing our city and every other city is climate change. We need bold action, and we need it right now. If elected to the City Council, I will push for the wholesale adoption of Portland's 174-point climate action plan. If we ramp up our investments in reducing emissions today, we can get to zero emissions by 2050. If you want a pragmatic progressive on the City Council, vote for me, Terry Rice. Thank you.
My name is John Lisbon, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 6 to empower our neighborhoods, engage all voices, and bring accountability back to council. On the campaign trail, I've heard repeatedly that residents do not feel as though their current City Council hears their concerns. If elected, I'll bring thoughtful, pragmatic solutions to tackle the growth-related issues facing Seattle today. Our city is expanding rapidly, yet the City Council is not managing this growth in a balanced way. That's why I co-founded Seattle Fair Growth, whose mission is to maintain Seattle's livability during this time of rapid growth. I'm the only candidate in the race who has worked to appeal the MHA and called for the City Council to include the unique needs of each neighborhood development plans. Housing developers must pay to offset the costs of infrastructure, parks, and roads. Seattle residents deserve a voice in shaping the changes to their communities, and policies must ensure Seattle is livable for all. The city's response to homelessness hasn't worked. People shouldn't be living in the streets, especially when Seattle's economy is booming as never before. As an entrepreneur and former small business owner, I understand that investments now will save money later. We need proven solutions for homelessness, like the Housing First model, and disrupting the cycle of homelessness before it starts through rental vouchers, transitional housing, job training, and domestic violence support programs. Every day we see the evidence that what the council is doing isn't working. The time for action is now, and I'm prepared to roll up my sleeves and get to work. My name is John Lisbon, and I would be honored to earn your vote for Seattle City Council District 6.
Hi, I'm Kara, the Citizens candidate. I'm not a professional politician. I'm a tax-paying homeowner in North Seattle. I'm asking for your vote. I have lots of relevant experience, some that no other candidate has, as a sort of citizen on the ground for decades in the grassroots. I've been active for 40 years, since 3 Mile Island, through the Great Peace March, the first Iraq War, pesticide spraying, the first International Earth Summit, and the LA riots, all when living in California. But 26 years ago, I became a Seattleite, worked on Hanford issues and fundraising for campaigns like Jerry Brown's We the People and Washburn. I was recruited to run for state ledge in 2000 as a Green, and later was elected the chair of the state Green Party. After a few years as a Green, I became a total independent. I am not beholden to any group or interest. I want to serve the people. My husband and I owned a small business, not a number cards and gifts, and in 2005 I was elected to the Wallingford Chamber of Commerce. As a 5-year president and director, I got the city to listen more. I formed collaborations with community groups, brought in the farmers market, and co-wrote an editorial for the Seattle Times urging a healthcare plan for businesses related to what would become Obamacare. I bring disparate, disjointed sides together, and that's especially urgent now. Nationally and locally, we're growing apart. I believe in our founders' desire to seek a more middle ground and work together, but this is probably time for overcompensation to right the ship. We have too many urgent issues, not enough action, and that's why I jumped in. I can't stand reinventing the wheel, and money must be spent more wisely. All people must be considered, not just developers. Our city council has done some good, but more must be done. I ask questions and I'm not afraid to dissent. Let's hold the city accountable and end the Seattle process of talking. We need more action. Vote for me, CERIELLO, District 6.
My name is Dan Strauss, and I was born and raised in Ballard. I'm running because I love this community, and I know that together we can guide Seattle's growth to build a sustainable, affordable, and equitable city that works for everyone, whether you've been here for 1 year or 40. I've dedicated my life to public service. I served with AmeriCorps in low-income communities all across the nation, working on projects from disaster relief to after-school programs. I have nearly a decade of legislative experience, and I know how to make change happen. My everyday job is to bring different levels of government, community, organizations, and people together to solve problems. I've already coordinated work groups with the state, county, city, port, sound transit, and community to successfully fund transportation projects, develop green building codes, and improve our parks. As your next council member, I'll use my experience to serve you. I worked on gun responsibility policy, passing the Extreme Risk Protection Order, and on City Council, I'll continue to implement gun violence prevention by investing in community-based programs that intervene in the cycle of violence. I'll tackle the homelessness crisis head-on by advocating for housing first policies that bring people experiencing homelessness into 4 walls with a door that locks and is connected to the services and care they need. I'll build a connected transit network with dedicated lanes so that buses aren't stuck in traffic. And I'll work to complete our bicycle master plan with protected bike lanes. I was hit by a driver while riding my bike, and I know the importance of safe and separated infrastructure. I'm committed to opening a district office so that you don't have to go downtown to have your voice heard. I'll prioritize constituent services so that if you get stuck in the bureaucratic gridlock, my office will be there to help you through it, to get you solutions, because I've got your back. I have deep roots in our community, and I'm endorsed by community leaders, labor unions, local democratic organizations, and current and former elected officials. I ask for your support and for your vote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ed Potthart, and I'm running for Seattle City Council District 6. I speak a little differently because of a lifelong hearing loss. I hope that you'll lean in a bit to hear what I have to say. I have worked for the City of Seattle for over 30 years. Through my work with Seattle City Light, neighborhoods, and parks and recreation, I know how to get city departments to collaborate with residents, businesses, and community groups to get action taken and projects accomplished. I know how to help people navigate their way through the maze that city government sometimes can be. With my leadership, we are going to move city departments into action now on the urgent issues of affordable housing, homelessness, transportation, growth, and climate change. Developing local community partnerships is the most immediate and efficient means of addressing affordable housing and homelessness. Providing sustained funding to local community teams of mental and behavioral outreach workers and community members, especially in neighborhood business districts, is what we need in partnership with people who are homeless to help them find housing, education, and living wage jobs. Seattle is growing and becoming more dense. Additional public services and amenities are required. Development impact fees are long overdue in Seattle and would help pay for them. Climate change is the defining issue of our time. The urgency is now. A road use payment system with equity as a priority would lessen traffic congestion, improve air quality, reduce carbon emissions, and encourage people to use transit, ride-sharing, and bicycles. Incentives for on-site solar electrical generation and energy storage in commercial and residential buildings would also reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I welcome your thoughts and ideas on how to address the challenges and opportunities ahead for District 6 and our city. I would be honored to have your vote and the opportunity to serve you as your Seattle City Council member.
Hello, I'm Jay FATHI. I was raised in North Seattle by a single mom who worked hard to find both affordable rent and family wage employment. My dad was an immigrant from Iran, when America welcomed those who sought freedom and opportunity. These are the values my wife Joelle and I are instilling in our two sons. As a doctor who has been dedicated to community health in Seattle for nearly 3 decades, I'm the only candidate who has provided care to low-income, homeless, and vulnerable populations in our city, and expanded affordable health care to serve thousands across our state. That unique experience is critical to tackling the public health crisis on our streets. There are no easy solutions, but inaction while unsheltered people and our quality of life suffer is inexcusable. Serving our community as a family physician, I've also learned to first listen when solving problems. I'll bring that same approach to the council. Seattle is a wonderful city with a progressive commitment to equity and innovation, but too often our council doesn't seem to listen. In particular, the disconnect between City Hall and the problems of neighborhood crime must end. Everyone deserves to feel safe in our city. I've also volunteered in our schools and served as medical director at the Ballard High School Health Clinic. As a proud Seattle public school graduate with my own 2 sons in public schools, I will advocate for our students and educators. I believe that Seattle's growth is both energizing and marginalizing, forcing young families and seniors out of our neighborhoods. I'll target growth along new transit and urban centers, build affordable-sized family homes, and help seniors and fixed-income households. It's time for new, experienced voices on our council to address our complex challenges with a focus on the needs of our neighborhoods. I am honored to have the endorsements of SEIU Healthcare 1199 and 775, UFCW 21, and former Mayor Tim Burgess. But the support that means the most to me is from my neighbors across the district. I would be honored to earn your vote.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Cook, and I'm running for Seattle City Council because we need people on the council who will address the city's problems with straightforward solutions. The biggest issue we face right now is the number of people who are openly using heroin and methamphetamines. They freely discard their needles in trash as well as defecate on the streets, sidewalks, and other public areas. These people are also committing thefts, muggings, and assaults to pay for their drugs. We need to tackle this problem head-on. People who are caught with small amounts of meth or heroin should be offered treatment the first time. If they decline treatment, they should be arrested and forced into long-term correctional programs that are outcome-driven. These programs have proven to work in other areas, reduce recidivism as well as addiction, and in the long run save taxpayers money. This would also discourage others from coming here to freely use drugs and victimize people. Many of these people are not from Seattle. We also need to find ways to more intelligently use taxpayers' money and work within the city's $6 billion budget. Just because it's an expensive idea doesn't mean it's a good one. We don't need a $400 million police precinct or a $285 million streetcar that only runs for 2 miles. I would also like to repeal some of the city's most regressive taxes, including the bag tax, sugar tax, and ammo tax. We need to get Seattle moving again by reprogramming the city's streetlights for speed and efficiency rather than purposely slowing them down to appease bicyclists who account for a very small percentage of commuters. We should also consider more yellow left turn caution lights and look at other ways to reduce people's commute times. For more information, please visit my website, cookforcouncil.com. Thanks for watching, and I would appreciate your vote in the upcoming election.
Hi, my name's Melissa Hall. I live in Fremont with my wife and daughter, and I'm a candidate for District 6 on the Seattle City Council. I've always wanted to make cities better environments for people. During undergraduate, I studied geography, and after that I went on to law school where I focused on land use and state and local government law. I've worked to stop the sewers under Birmingham, Alabama from leaking. I've been part of Florida's emergency management team, and I've traveled to small towns in Virginia to enforce floodplain development standards. Most of my career has been in state and local government because that's where government has the most direct impact on people's lives. I'm running because I believe in Seattle, the place where my wife and I moved, because here it felt safe enough for us to have a child together. But we can't be that sanctuary for others if people can't afford to live here. We need to build more housing and more affordable housing to be sure everyone has a stable, safe place to call home. We're going to need to do more housing with less land and make our neighborhoods and urban centers more dense. When we build dense enough, a big city becomes a group of small towns that all happen to be next to each other. To get there, we have to ramp up density, transportation, and services together. Cities are also places where people move, so our transit and roadways need to account for the needs of all of the users. We need efficient information services, so I support municipal broadband internet. We're also people who want to find a way to care for all of our neighbors. I support policies and programs that respect the autonomy and agency of our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness and prioritize harm reduction. We also need eviction reform and more support for pre-eviction diversion programs so that people with housing have a better chance of keeping it. Most importantly, it's my belief that cities that care for their residents best are cities that plan with, not for, their citizens. As Commissioner, I will not pass any legislation that affects marginalized communities without the direct feedback of those communities. Thank you.
Out on the campaign trail, people share their frustrations, and I assure them that I represent the change we need to see on the Council. Political ideologies that prolong the misery of the unsheltered are cruel. Ignoring the consequences that communities are facing is unacceptable. How is it that our city budget has gone from $4 billion to $6 billion while basic services go unprovided? We're 600 cops short of a full force. Our infrastructure crumbles because we don't budget for maintenance. A rail fetish busts the bank while we lack sidewalks and adequate bus service. I'm a small d Democrat, conservative progressive, and designer and planner with plenty of problem-solving experience. I've been involved in neighborhood, citywide, and school district issues for decades. I have a passion for public policy and a deep understanding of the issues. I know that owning the house you live in and the land you do business on is the answer, not the enemy. City Hall's plan for growth that displaces everyone that's already here is ridiculous. Their determination to set the table for global investors so that we're what's for dinner is corrupt. The city lavishes upon themselves the kind of benefits the rest of us would like to enjoy. We could open the City of Seattle's self-insured health care pool up to anyone living or working in Seattle who wants to buy in. This would benefit residents, workers, and small businesses tremendously while costing the city nothing. And there are so many more ways we can move into being a city for the future, a city that has the back of its residents and small businesses, not special interests. My name is Kate Martin. I seek your support so that I may represent District 6 on the Council. Your democracy vouchers, volunteer efforts, and vote will assure my victory. Please visit putkateonthecouncil.org for more information.